trying to get myself situated. Okay, this works.
You be like, baby, who cares? So I know you care. Bring it over to my place. You don't know what you do. You got it like me.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to tell you guys all about my phase 2. I know it's been like 2 months since I made a video. At first I was like, okay, I want to get a couple weeks into this new base, into this new program, and see how it's going so I get the hang of it to effectively make a video for you guys. And then I thought about it, and as it got closer to my graduation, I was like, well, I might as well just wait till graduation so I can recap the entire thing. So that's what I'm here doing right now. Start off, as always, these are my personal experiences, my opinions, and not those of the Air Force. And yeah, I'm excited to make this video for you guys because I like talking to you guys. And I just want to say thank you guys. I just hit 900 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for that. I thoroughly enjoy reading your comments, responding to you guys. I get a lot of DMs on Instagram also. Sorry I can't get to all of them like when they're sent. Sometimes I just don't have the energy to respond, or I'm busy and forget about it, but I try to go through my requests and my DMs so I can respond to you guys because I like talking to you guys. So be patient with me, but at the same time, thank you for the support that I get and thank you for reaching out. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. First of all, I graduated yesterday. And I will have clips to go with that and pictures, and I'm gonna try to make this a cool video. I don't know. So first of all, as you guys know, based off my previous videos and anybody else's videos that you've watched in regards to Fort Sam Houston's phase 1 of 4.0 Tech School, you do have a phase 2, which is basically your hands-on training. So phase 1's all your academics, all your books, and your like talked through skills with like mannequins and stuff, but no real patients. I mean, you do practice IVs and drawing blood and giving shots with your other classmates, but no patient care yet. So phase 2 is your patient care. You get to put what you learned to use and continue learning as you're here. Phase 2 is about 6 weeks. Everybody's in processing time period is different, so it could be 6.5, or maybe if something's conflicting with the holidays, it could be shorter or longer. So just keep that in mind. Mine was from in processing to graduation date, 6.5 weeks. So I just sum it up and say 6 weeks. So there are 5 or 6 locations that you can go to for phase 2. So first one being, you can go back to Lackland Air Force Base, and you can work at BAMC, Brooks Army Medical Center, which is actually on Fort Sam Houston. You can go to Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, Keesler Air Force Base in Mississippi, Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, Las Vegas, and Travis Air Force Base in California. So those are the 6 options. You can't actually pick or choose what you want or switch. It's not like a permanent duty station assignment that you do have the opportunity to switch with somebody. These are, you get no say in it, and once you get it, you're stuck with it. So, but you're not there for very long, but don't get discouraged if it's something you don't like. Each hospital actually has a lot to offer. For example, if you were to go to BAMC, like, don't get discouraged you're going back to Lackland, because it's like that hospital actually does have like a lot of opportunities. They have a really big trauma center. Or if you were to go to Travis Air Force Base, they have a really big hyperbaric center. Like, it just depends. So take that with a grain of salt. And like I said, even if you get stuck at Lackland, it's like you're not under like Fort Sam's rules anymore. So it's a change, and it's one step closer to graduation and being operational. So just keep an open mind with any opportunity that you get. With each base being different, obviously each phase 2 location will be different. So what I'm gonna tell you is my experience for the base that I'm at. I can't guarantee it's like this for every single base, because like I said, it's just everybody's different. Every course supervisor has different rules, base has different rules, hospital has different rules. So keep that in mind. Some things that I went through, you may or may not go through. Like, for example, I know at like Eglin Air Force Base, you can't keep your phone in your pocket at work. Some places, like I heard Travis doesn't let you watch surgeries, but like other bases will. Also, your scheduling will look different. You may have more or less overnight shifts. You may work on the weekends. You may work just separate set of days. Like everyone's schedule will be different. The dorm rules are going to be different. Some might have curfews on you, some might not. PT schedules will be different. Some require you to go to PT on certain days, some don't. There's a whole bunch of things like that, so keep that in mind. I'm going to start off with my first week here, which was my in-processing week. So I came here with 4 other students, so we were a class of 5. Honestly, in-processing was really chill because it was like Monday through Thursday, and you were done with the days by like 11. And then the rest of the day is yours. So it was pretty cool. I didn't write down like what day we did what, but within the span of 4 days, we did our in-processing paperwork, we did our TB test. I actually had to end up getting a shot. I don't know what that's about. I keep getting shots everywhere I go, but it was fine. I was the only one that needed a shot too, so may or may not get one. It didn't hurt or anything, but it's fine. Get fit for an N95 mask, which that was actually kind of like, I didn't know what to expect off that. So it's like you go to this building or whatever and they put on N95 mask and then they put on this spacesuit plastic helmet looking thing. I don't know how to explain it. And there's like a little hole. Oops. And there's like a little hole in it. And he's like, the guy like squirts some mist in there. And he's basically, actually before you put your mask on, I don't even remember. Before you put your mask on, like the mask, he does it and then you can like taste it and you can breathe it and like smell it, and it honestly just smells like they're putting perfume in there. And it's just like if you were to like inhale perfume, it's like, or like breathe in your mouth with perfume. It's not, I mean, it's not like the end of the world, but it's not like pleasant, but it is what it is. So they did that, and then they put the thing on you with your N95 mask, and then they're like, okay, like, can you smell it? Can you taste it? Like all this stuff to make you like do your head in different ways, just to like make sure that no matter how you're moving your head, your mask fits correctly. Because the N95 masks are the thicker masks that they use for people with like COVID cases or MRSA or just like different things like that. It's not just your typical like, oh, let me put on this little mask and like draw somebody's blood, or what we were using to like go in the store during the pandemic and stuff like that. So and then they're gonna have an EMT brief. Some paramedics are gonna come in and give us a brief about how EMT goes, because we are certified EMTs. They kind of just tell you how it goes, what to expect being at the hospital that you're at, stuff like that. You'll get a tour of the hospital, and then you'll get your meal card set up. You'll go to nutrition to do that. So you can get food at the hospital, and you can get food at the defect. Well, actually, I think paperwork that you do with your supervisors helps you with like the base defect. But you go get your meal card for the hospital food in the hospital. But yeah, and then the core supervisors, there's like a 15-passenger van that they'll drive you around in, and if you need to go to the BX or go to the commissary, like they'll take you. They took us that first week. Yeah, and then that leads me to Friday. So again, we had a class of 5, and typically throughout the weeks we were all split up in our own units, but on Friday we happened to all be in the same unit on the same day, and so that was orthopedics, so working with your like musculoskeletal system. So yeah, basically you just call patients back, and then take them, you do like a basic medical assessment. So you're like, you'll kind of see what they're there for previously before you call them. So just say someone's here for like a follow-up, and you're like, okay, well, since you've last come, like, are you still in any pain? What's your pain scale 1 through 10? Is it to make it better or worse? Have you been taking any medications? Anything you want to mention to the doctor? Stuff like that. And then you give a report to the doctor, and then the doctor came and did their assessment with them, and then you're not really a part of that. We didn't take any vitals in orthopedics. It's not I guess it's not really anything you need vitals for, because they're just checking your bones and stuff. Like somebody came in because they like punched a wall, and so like their finger was all messed up. What was it called? Like boxer's fracture, a boxing fracture or something. I don't know. It was crazy because our preceptor was actually just telling us about it. He's like, yeah, what you'll see a lot is this, blah, blah, blah. And the first person that came in had that. So it was like, okay, cool. Basically, a preceptor, you're going to hear me say preceptor a lot. A preceptor is someone who works in that unit that is essentially training you. That is the person you were job shadowing. That is the person that's going to hold your hand while you're there and make sure you're doing everything correct. Make sure you understand everything that's going on. Our preceptor was actually really cool. I enjoyed working with him. There was like a whole like skeleton, because that's the unit, and then he'd go through and ask us like and quiz us and be like, what's this bone? What's this bone? Do y'all know this? Do you know that? And then just, I don't know, they just gave us a lot of information, and that's really cool. So take everything that you can get in while you're at phase 2. Before I get into week 2, I kind of just want to talk about the dorms a little bit. First of all, the base that I'm at, we don't share, or we don't like have a roommate. You just share a bathroom. So it's a suite mate. So it's 2 separate rooms and then connected by a bathroom. So that's been nice having my own room. Also, there's no curfew at my base, no MTLs at the dorm. You only have supervisors. So if you were to like lock yourself out or something, they do have a phone number that you can text. It's like the work phone that they just like cycle around the course supervisors, and you can ask them questions and stuff like that. Mailbox aren't issued to you, but you can go to the USO and open up a mailbox. It's just because we're not here long enough to typically need one, but if you do need one because you want to get stuff mailed to you, like, you can go open that up. It's no problem. Overall, at phase 2, there's just like a lot more freedom, and it's kind of like a breath of fresh air, especially y'all knowing I was at Fort Sam for so long. It's just such a totally different environment. And overall, I've enjoyed being here because then I get to actually work towards my training and my career. So yeah. So I want to get into clinic versus inpatient days. So your schedule is going to have both. You have to reach a certain amount of hours in clinics and a certain amount of hours in inpatient. So your clinic days are 8-hour shifts. You're going to stay in your OCPs and you leave around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Really chill day, typical. It's like your outpatient, the people who come in and out the clinic, you know? On clinic days, we had PT twice a week. So basically we'd come down at 14:30, change into our PT gear, and then the supervisors take us over to the gym. We work out for an hour and walk home. That's what the PT days were like. Or on the other 2 days, we would do post-conference, which basically, actually, even if you have inpatient days, you would still have post-conference on this day. So for inpatient, you're there for like 12 hours. So you would kind of just like take a break, go to the post-conference meeting, and then go back to work. But if it's a clinic day, then this is like the end of your day. You do post-conference and then go home. So post-conference is basically the supervisors just tell us anything they need to tell us, go over anything they feel like they need to go over, and then we all just sit and talk about our experience, talk about what we're learning, what we've done, what we've seen, stuff like that so far. Each one went kind of different. Some were faster than others. I've been in there for 15 minutes and I've been in there for an hour. So like it really just depends. Also with clinic days, you're just gonna be doing primarily vitals, your basic medical assessments, and then you may assist or see like small procedures, which I'll get into and tell you what I've got to experience while I was there. And then your inpatient days, oh my god, I keep moving this. Like I said, 12-hour shifts, and you do change into scrubs. So, that's another thing. When you're in process, you go and get your badge. How could I forget? You go and get your hospital badge. You get a picture, and it's on the badge, and it's a student. And then it's got all like the codes. I should have brought mine so I can show you, but it's okay. And with inpatient, you have the opportunity to do day shifts and overnight shifts. So typically here I've seen classes get typically 2 weeks of overnights. Luckily my class only got a week of overnights. I don't know if I could have done 2 weeks. It's just not really like my thing, but I was in a unit 2 different times, one being an overnight shift and one being a day shift. So I did get to see the difference. Overall, I prefer the day shifts. I feel like it's just more to do. They go faster, and I also don't have to mess up my sleep schedule for it. But yeah, it was cool to see how overnights work too. The inpatient, I feel like you see the most, you do the most. It's just more busy, more on your feet, more hands-on, in my opinion. And I've always wanted to be a nurse, so this is kind of like what I enjoyed most was inpatient. I just felt like I got to put my skills to the test the most. So that brings me to week 2. Week 2 was our first week of overnights. So like I said, we were all together in that one clinic day, but the rest of the time we were all split up. So I wasn't with any other classmate for this week. Sometimes you're with like 1 or 2, but like just this week I wasn't with anybody. But like the whole class had overnights. We just weren't all together. Got it? But yeah, I had 2 days of my first 2 days of that week were in medical inpatient, and then my second 2 nights were surgical inpatient. Basically, I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff that you're gonna see and typically do, and it's pretty repetitive for most inpatient, but I'll get into it. So admitting patients, transferring patients, discharging patients, hygiene needs, so if you need to brush their teeth or assist them to the shower or give them a wipe down, things like that. Assisting to and from the bathroom. Each patient has a different way depending on their needs as to how they need to use the bathroom, so you do that as follows. Vitals, glucose, blood draws, Foley catheters, providing food, charting what was done. Some rooms you have to put full protective gear on for rooms with patients with MRSA or COVID, things like that. I was doing a lot of EKGs, linen changes, stuff like that. So yeah, or taking the labs down. So like when you draw their blood or get a urine sample, whatever is needed, you take it down to the lab. Or if a patient needs to go to ultrasound or CT or MRI, or if they're getting transferred to another unit, you take them there. Yeah, so basically you're just meeting their basic needs, and then you coordinate everything with the nurse. So you're not actually working with like doctors in these units, you're working with nurses. So all nurses, physicians, physician's assistant, anything like that, those are all officers. So you do work with a lot of officers, which is cool because then you get extra, I mean, they're like registered nurses, like right here, like they're like registered nurse or PA. So like you get a lot of like medical advice, and then you can also see the routes they've taken within the Air Force to get there. So definitely pick their brains and, you know, just get all the information that you can. These shifts for about like 6 to 6, so 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Or if it's a day shift, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And honestly, I felt like I was fighting for my life. Like staying up overnight. The first night was really rough. I tried staying up like that past weekend to like get my body in the habit of staying up, but like it was just a lot. Like I haven't done that in so long. And then the next night went a lot smoother. Like now that my body was kind of used to it, I even went to the gym. I was feeling real nice. Yeah, and then by the end of the week, I was just over it. Overnights are more laid back. You know, patients tend to be sleeping and wanting to get their rest, and they're just not as needy, I guess you can say. And we just do vitals every 4 hours, and then blood draws at 4 a.m. and just anything else as needed. So that's week 2. Week 3 was a clinic week, so we're back to, you know, our 8-hour shifts and our OCP, stuff like that. This week I also, so my first shift was FMRC, so Family Medical Readiness Clinic. I actually was with one other classmate of mine, but like we each had our own preceptor, so we weren't like working together. This is like your basic clinic. All ages come here, all needs really. You call them, weigh them, get their height, their vitals, you do your medical assessment. Hey, what are you in here for? And you ask all your questions, give the report to the PA, and then go to your next patient. That's pretty much it. Set up the room before they get in there, clean up the room when they're gone, stuff like that. I think the most interesting thing I did was I froze off a wart. Like, this is random, but that's what I happened to do. The next day was pediatrics, and honestly, I was nervous about pediatrics because I was that kid going to the doctor growing up. I was that child. The child any medical technician, nurse, doctor does not want. Like, I was just a really bad kid at the doctor, and I think it's like really ironic that I'm actually in the medical field now, voluntarily, but I hated the doctor. I hated going to the doctor growing up. I was nervous that I was like gonna reap what I sow or something, but it actually went really well. I do like kids. I genuinely do love kids. It went really well. I primarily dealt with a lot of babies, which I just love babies. I love seeing babies. Not all of them were sick. Some of them came in sick. Some of them were just there for like checkups and physicals and stuff like that. About some older kids, you know, and then basically all you're doing is just vitals. If it's like a baby, you can do their physical. You do what you can as the med tech, and then the doctor will do the rest. Medical assessments, talking to the parents, give a report to the doctor. It's pretty much the same thing. Like, there was this one kid, and he was so sick, but he was still so smiley and so happy, and it just made me happy. I was like, oh my god, you're just so cute. And so then the next day, we did OBGYN. I did OBGYN. That was personally my favorite clinic because that is the, like, career field within my career field that I want to go into. Like, I've always wanted to be like a labor and delivery nurse. Unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity to be in labor and delivery. I didn't have the unit open to students here, but OBGYN was close enough. I loved it because, yeah, I just loved it. I dealt with pregnant women, postpartum women, or just, you know, anybody coming in for birth control, stuff like that. I got to find fetal heartbeats, which was super exciting for me. You know, your basic vitals, medical assessment, weight, and then I saw an ultrasound and pap smears, and that was pretty much that. I really enjoyed my preceptor, and I got to engage with the doctor a little bit too, so that was really cool. Yeah, just definitely express your wants when it comes to this. Like, what do you want to see? What do you want to experience? What do you want to do? let it be known, because closed mouths don't get fed. So, and that Thursday we had GI party, so we actually didn't go to work this day. And it was a day that all the clinics were closed because they were doing some like training day at the hospital, so we didn't have to go in. And we just cleaned up the dorms. So the dorms have day rooms, I got 3 day rooms. So we cleaned up the day rooms, cleaned up the outside, and then we had our rooms like deep cleaned, which we keep them clean anyways, but yeah. And that was pretty much that. We were done by 10 o'clock in the morning, and then the rest of the day was ours. Week 4 was another inpatient day, so I went back to that surgical inpatient unit for 2 days, and then I was in the ICU for 2 days. So I actually really enjoyed the ICU. I don't want to say I didn't think I was going to, but I think my like perception of it before was going to be like super challenging, but it really wasn't. I saw a lot and really enjoyed that, and wouldn't mind doing ICU, like, to be honest, because you just get a lot of experience in that unit. I was able to see a bedside thoracentesis and a chest tube put in this one man, and the doctor like drew out all the fluid that was like in the pleural space. I thought that was just really cool. There was another doctor in training who was actually standing there observing the procedure, and he was kind of breaking everything down to me. And I don't know, I just really appreciated that, and I just like how I felt included. My preceptor really took me under his wing and made sure I was included, I guess. Also got to see patients with NG tubes, midlines, patients that were intubated, or if they needed to insert an IV and they have really hard veins or like small veins that are like hard to locate, they do like the ultrasound thing, so they can like ultrasound your arm and like put the IV in. That was pretty cool. I actually saw that in a couple departments. That's actually very frequent where I'm at. Week 5 was the ER, and it was like a full week of ER, and honestly I was nervous because I'm like, I don't want to be an EMT. Like, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to see any like freak accidents. I was just afraid to see something that I didn't want to see. Like, the hospital that I'm at doesn't have a trauma center, so if anyone was to actually have like a really traumatic like thing happen to them, they would actually go to a civilian hospital right off base. So there's not a trauma unit, so I didn't see anything crazy like that because I just thought, oh, that's something I want to see. But yeah, ER was 12-hour shifts. You were in your OCPs for this. But yeah, I actually ended up loving the ER, and I would, if I could like be assured not to go on an ambulance, I wouldn't mind being in the ER. Yeah, so first of all, we got there, right? I was with 2 other classmates for this week, so it was 3 of us working this unit at the same time. We get there, and within the first 10 minutes, the preceptor's like, so when's the last time y'all did an IV? I was like, I haven't done any IVs. Like, I've only drawn blood. He's like, all right, y'all finna do them on each other. And I was like, So yeah, I had to get an IV from my classmate. So basically when you give an IV, you put it in and then you advance the catheter, and then when you're taking it out, you have to occlude the vein. So you have to hold it down so the blood doesn't spill out, and then you attach it to the thing that like doesn't make it spill out anymore. So my classmate did it to me, but he didn't occlude the vein well enough, so it looked like a mess. I'm gonna put the picture. It looked like a mess, but it's not that bad. Like, I'm not scared of blood or anything. I don't really care to see it. I was just kind of like, But I mean, we all need practice. I hadn't done an IV since I was at Fort Sam, so I was actually nervous for the IV because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna like suck at this or whatever. But I actually did it. I did it well. That was something I don't want to say I struggled with, but I definitely wasn't obviously like the best at it when it came to actually doing it with patients. But by the last 2 days of me being in the ER, I was actually felt really confident in IVs. I was doing them good. Like, I think the last day, like, I didn't miss any the last 2 days. I think the last day I missed, like, the guy's vein rolled on me, but I was able to do his other arm and I got it. So like, I'm gonna count that. Like, I didn't miss anything, but yeah. Most every patient will get an IV when they go to the ER, so you're definitely gonna get your practice in that. And you're also gonna see all ages. There's babies, kids, old people. There's a lot of old people within like all of the departments. That just happens to be like where I'm at. And you see a lot of veterans and stuff like that too, so. It gives you practice when it comes to like blood draws and IVs. It gives you practice with people who have young veins or older veins, and just like your different skin texture, and it's just, so you do get all the experience of everything. So I think that's pretty cool. The only time I got to ride in an ambulance was when we went to lunch. The paramedics took us to the BX for lunch, so we got to ride in the ambulance. There was one ambulance call the entire time we were there. The whole week we were there, within the day shift, and I was doing an IV at the time. I had just finished an IV and there was a call. But my other classmate didn't get to go in the ambulance yet. So I told him, like, you can go, you guys can go. Like, I'm still, like, finishing this up. Y'all go on the call. They got to go on the call. So that was, I mean, I'm not really, like, upset about it, to be honest, because I just don't, that just doesn't interest me. But maybe one day. So some things that we saw while we were there, we got to see, like, 2 patients that got put on the cardiac defibrillator monitor, and their heart rhythm was shocked. So we got to see them. It was like a big medical team in there, the doctors, the nurses, like multiple techs, everything like that, paramedics, and they put fentanyl in them and then shocked their heart rhythm. Both patients actually had to be shocked twice, so they would do that again. One at like 100 jolts, one at like 200 jolts. So it was actually really crazy to see. One guy came in, he like busted his head open, so we had to give staples. So I did staple somebody's head. That was pretty cool. Somebody came in with a broken shoulder, stuff like that. You just get to see a whole bunch of different things. They got to spike and hang IV bags, and then like transfer the admits. Like whoever's getting like admitted to the hospital, you transfer them to the unit that they're in. Pretty much that. Everything, like I said, pretty repetitive. I've either already done it or also, like, I wasn't in the room with like my classmates the entire time. It would be like one of 2 of us in there, or they're doing their own thing. So if I was to like have all of them come in on this video, they're all gonna tell you so many different things that they get to see that I didn't get to see. So again, my experience. Yeah, but in the ER, you definitely get more confident with IVs, which I was very appreciative of. The preceptor that I had on one of the days, I actually really enjoyed his feedback. I enjoyed the way he trained me, because I'd go and do an IV, or I'd do what I do, and then we'd come out and he'd be like, okay, what do you think you could have gone different? What do you think you could have done different? And I talk about it, and then he'd tell me this, and they're just showing me all these different techniques, because every medic has a different technique, what works for them. So I appreciated, like, throughout my whole time being here, getting bits and pieces of what works so that you can eventually see what works best for you. Week 6 was a clinic week, and my first day was internal medicine. I didn't even know what that was. I was like, what is this clinic? Then they were like, oh, it's basically you come in for like endocrine issues. In my personal opinion, based off what I was there for, that was probably the most boring shift, the most boring clinic to me. It was a slow day for them, so I didn't really see a lot. And plus, with this clinic, they didn't have to ask like questions. It wasn't like a medical assessment. It's like you literally take vitals, you greet them, take vitals, and tell them the doctor will be with you shortly. Like, I was like, okay, it's kind of boring. They did include me in watching a thyroid biopsy. I thought that was pretty cool. It's just different. I like it. I think that it's different. Yeah, so I don't know. I just thought it was cool to see things. I would like to see anything I can see. Next day was an allergy and immunizations. I like this clinic. It wasn't bad. I didn't get to see like anybody with allergies come in, or like I didn't get to see that allergy part of it, but I was definitely giving lots of shots. And yeah, I got to see a baby get their 2-month shots, which I didn't get to do. The preceptor did that. But yeah, he basically told me different vaccines, broke down the vaccines, broke down the needles that you would use, stuff like that. And then I got to do it and put Batman Band-Aids on everybody. So that was pretty cool. The next day I had lab. I actually really enjoyed lab. I really did. So you're in your OCPs, but you got a lab coat on. And so you get there and you watch like this 30-minute video just about the lab, the importance of the rules that they have, the importance of hospital protocols, why you would or wouldn't do certain things with the patient in regards to just techniques and stuff like that. Just a whole bunch of stuff. And then my preceptor was like, hey, you can watch me do the first few and then you can do the rest. By this point, I'm like, yo, I graduate next week. I feel pretty confident in like blood draws. But the thing was is they had me using a straight needle. So I was used to IVs and butterfly needles where when you insert it, you get flash. So flash is you see the stream of blood come in, which means you're in the vein. So with the straight needles, you don't see any flash. So you just gotta trust that you're in the vein. You stick it, hope that you're there, and then start drawing blood. If you don't see anything coming out, you obviously missed it. But I actually got all of them except the last one. I missed the last one. I don't know what happened. But yeah, so it was good to get the experience with straight needles also. And my preceptor was really cool. He was a retired service member, and he was just playing a whole bunch of like old school music, which I love, things from like the 60s to the early 2000s. I was feeling it. And I was like, this is good. This is like a nice little clinic. People are just in and out with it. He taught me how to label things and how to store them. Yeah, pretty cool. The last unit of this week was hyperbarics. So basically just like intense oxygen therapy, which can be used for so many different things, literally. The preceptor went into all of it. It's actually pretty fascinating. So if you don't know what hyperbarics is, I'm not going to attempt to explain it because I know that somebody else is going to do it way better than me, and I don't want to waste your time. So definitely like Google, look into hyperbarics just to like get an idea of what it is. It's pretty cool, and I think that's actually a shred out. So yeah, they showed us the chambers. They showed us, honestly, it looked like I was in some NASA. Like, it was really sciencey. It was definitely giving like NASA type stuff, and I was like, wow, this is like a lot of science and kind of like mechanics almost. It was crazy. Personally, not for me. It was really cool to be there, but like I just don't think I could see myself doing that. It's just not my forte. We put shoe covers on, headsets on, so we could hear the other techs talking and see how they go through a chamber procedure. Our preceptor, like I said, really broke everything down to us to the like crazy extent. Came back asking us questions, like stuff like that to keep us engaged. This job is actually, if you were to work in hyperbarics, it's actually a hazardous pay job because the chamber is such a fire hazard. Like any type of gel, perfume, lotion, like I don't know, if it's flammable, just don't bring it. And like one wrong thing and the entire base is going to be a freaking crater. So like it's a very detail oriented, tedious job for the safety of everybody in the city type thing. So yeah, you get hazardous pay afterwards. There is a wound care unit in the hyperbaric unit, because if you have like intense wounds, like the hyperbarics can help you heal. So I did get to see wound care. I irrigated somebody's foot and helped wrap it up, and that was pretty much the end of our shift, because then we had to go to lunch, and then I participated in what's called the CIF lab. So that is the clinical investigation facility, and it's basically a TCCC live patient model procedure. So we did get an extra certificate for that, and you basically get an OR stuff. So like I had scrubs on, hairnet, gloves, face mask, like shoe covers, the whole 9 yards. And you get to do things like chest tubes, needle decompression, hemorrhage control, and a whole bunch of other skills. So it's optional, you don't have to do it. But without me going into a lot of detail of like what exactly it is, just ask your preceptor if they offer the CIF lab for live patient models. And it was actually pretty cool. I think it was a good experience, and yeah, I enjoyed it. So then that leads us to graduation week. So we only had 2 shifts because we graduated on a Wednesday. So we had 2 shifts. My first shift was a same-day surgery shift. So with this, it's like you leave extra early in the morning, but then you get to leave earlier in the day. Being on a Monday, that's like a PT day, but I didn't have to go to PT because I did same-day surgery that day. So you leave super freaking early, and then you get to leave at like 1400, so kind of a win. You get to be in scrubs. My shift was personally kind of slow, so I don't really want to say I didn't do anything, but I didn't really get to do a lot. I did like an EKG and a hand IV, and to sum it up, that was about it. And also, I was not able to see any surgeries. I begged. I wanted to see a surgery so bad, but this hospital has a lot of PTSD with phase 2 students in the past, so phase 2 students have lost some privileges as a whole when it comes to certain things, and viewing surgeries is one of them. The last clinic I was in was the Warrior Medical Clinic, so that's going to be all your active duty personnel. So you're going to see everybody come in uniform basically. So it's your basic vitals, medical assessments, and then you take them to the doctor, or you can assist. Like, I'll be honest, I only had like 3 patients, and all of them needed pap smears. So that's kind of how my day went with that. But I mean, you can go in there for literally anything, pretty much. Pretty chill shift. And my preceptor was actually a civilian contractor. And she's been a nurse for like a really long time. So it was really cool hearing her talk about like civilian versus Air Force medicine and protocols working in the hospital. So that was kind of like cool to hear about and get her feedback on the pros and cons of each. So yeah, I just want to talk about preceptors a little bit. So your preceptor can either be active duty, and they'll probably be like an A1C or up. So I had a few preceptors that were like the same rank, you know what I'm saying? Civilian contractors, all of that. Some preceptors are like really gonna push you to like get you out your comfort zone and get your hands dirty and really just be in there, right? But some, if you sit in the corner, they're gonna let you sit in the corner. So you kind of have to put yourself out there let your preceptor know, like, speak up for yourself type thing. Like, if they're not really, like, engaging, follow them around. If they're not going to tell you to follow them. Like, it's your shift, your experience. It's really up to you on how you want that to play. A lot of them are going to give you really good Air Force advice, a lot of good medical advice, given they've been in longer than you, and they can tell you from what they've experienced and stuff like that. Some of them have been to multiple bases, so it's just really cool to hear everyone, because everyone has a different story. Being in the clinics, you get the opportunity to talk more to, like, the doctors, which again are officers and stuff like that, so it's kind of cool hearing them and their advice. Inpatient, you talk to more of the nurses, registered nurses, which are also officers. So then you get to hear about the nursing route versus the physician route, and yeah, if that's anything you're interested in. So yeah, come graduation day. Good morning. On the way to go graduate. Hold on. So basically, we go to the hospital in our blues. We're gonna get them inspected, and then I actually have my OCPs on me, because when I get there, like after we're done with our inspection, we're changing into our OCPs. So we're actually not even graduating in our blues, but it's okay. So I'm gonna have my OCPs. I got my med patch, feeling real excited, real official. And then they told us we're having our graduation outside, so I'm actually kind of excited about that. I'm hoping my allergies don't eat me alive. I took a plethora of allergy medicine this morning to help avoid that. We'll see if it ends up working. But yeah, overall, it's been, these 6 weeks actually went by really fast, and I'm sorry I didn't actually record during my process. I just kind of, I don't know, I wanted to get a feel for it, and the next thing you know, it's basically over. So now that I have everything done, I can go and break down what phase 2 was like for me. So yeah, we had to go to graduation in our blues. I actually took a video, so I'll probably implement that, and I don't want to repeat myself a lot, so sorry if I do. But we go in blues, get inspected, change into OCPs. We do our out processing stuff, so we go around to whatever needs to be done. We have binder checks. I'll get into binders in a minute. And then you do an EOC survey, so an end of course survey. It's basically you just rate everything, give any feedback, how can we make it better or worse type thing. Or how can we make it better, how is it worse, stuff like that. Yeah, so we had a class of 5 graduate, and they did it outside. I've seen other graduations before, because like you can go to the other classes graduations, but ours was outside, and it was actually a lot of people came. And I was kind of like, oh wow, like there's like a lot of officers and a lot of just like personnel. So I was like, okay, cool. So phase 2 certificates, you know, they called our name up. We got our SIF certificates. The top student of our class got an LOA, which is really cool. And it was his birthday. I thought that was just like I was like, that's such a great day for you. Class lead gave a speech, and then we marched to the front and everyone congratulated us. We're doing this new thing here where it's called MVP, so like most valuable preceptor. So like we were able to nominate a preceptor to get an award saying like, good job, you're a great preceptor. So that was cool to see. Yeah, took pictures, got lunch, had room inspections, and then people either left that day or the next day, stuff like that. So yeah, binders. So we get a binder at the very beginning and in processing. Basically, you'll see everyone's schedule in it. You'll see shift layouts. So like it'll have charts of like, oh, if you do a clinic day or an inpatient or an overnight or an ER, like all that shows you like what that day is gonna play out like. 3 pages that the preceptors need to sign. Basically one saying, hey, they gave me a tour of the place, showed me where the crash carts were, the safety data sheet, binder is, where the emergency exits, stuff like that. Another one is saying, hey, they were my preceptor. And then another one would be if they were to check you off on a task, they sign it saying like, hey, I checked them off on something. Yeah, so like a checklist, there was like 50 tasks that were like written down. Whether you actually perform them or not, you still get them signed off on saying like, hey, I understand what this is. And there's going to be some things that you do that aren't on the task list, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. Like me freezing off that wart, that wasn't a task I had to get completed, but I did. Or something like donning and doffing a sterile gown. I didn't get the opportunity to do that, but I understand the process and I was able to get that signed off. Makes sense? And there's 5 EMT run sheets that you have to complete. With us only going on 1 call, we got to make the other ones up, but like that wasn't hard. And then 3 patient care reports. That actually took a little bit because you have to go into someone like without like violating HIPAA or like any HIPAA violations, because you don't give any personal information. You're not writing any names, birthdays, stuff like that down. but you do go through their files, say why they're there, and you're just showing like medications and what they're used for, any procedures, nurses' notes, stuff like that. So that pretty much ends it. I'm just gonna end with some like basic advice. I guess my advice would be to see everything that you can. Like, if you can see it, like if they even have the opportunity to be there for something, like just get all the experience that you can. Like, this is your opportunity to get things wrong. So you can learn. Like, your preceptor isn't gonna let you like kill somebody, you know what I'm saying? They're not gonna let you like totally mess somebody up. But this is your time to ask questions. It's your time to try it for the first time, get comfortable with it, stuff like that. Put yourself out there. Let your preceptor know what your goals are, what you want to get out of the shift that you're doing. If there's something that you want more practice in, or if there's something that you haven't done yet that you want to do, like, let them know. Keep an open mind with all these things. Anything that you see, just really understand that people, especially like inpatient, like people being admitted to the hospital, obviously it's not the best day that they've ever been through, and like they have to go through some really vulnerable things being in the care of others just for basic daily needs. So treat them as if it was you or a loved one being in that position, and you want to remain professional at all times, and that means on and off the clock. Like, respect patients' dignity, respect their privacy. Obviously don't go against HIPAA, but like, just in general, like, you just don't want to be bashing patients outside of work too. Like, patient care should be continuing even when you're not working, that's my opinion. I feel like that helps you be a good medic, because yeah, you're gonna go through some stuff that's like, as a person, it's uncomfortable, and it's like, I don't want to deal with that. But think about them. They probably don't want to have you deal with that either. They don't want to be in a situation where they need to be dealt with like that. So keep an open mind like that, because I know medical is not something everybody wanted. You just got to understand, whether you want it or not, this is your job and you take it seriously. So yeah. But recognize what you want to get better in. If you know you need more practice with blood draws or just like whatever, like, recognize where you know you could do better, because honestly, we could always do better. It doesn't matter if you have been doing this for so long, there's something you can always improve in. And I think a pretty big one would be always remain teachable. Like, remember that you are the student. Even if you feel really comfortable with what you're doing, just know there's probably 10 different ways you could do exactly what you just did. So just remain teachable, take everybody's feedback. Remember that the people that you're working with have been doing this for way longer than you. Not saying that you're always gonna have like the best preceptor, but that's kind of besides the point. Just always remain teachable. Don't come in with such a big head thinking you know it all, because honestly, you don't. You probably really don't. And that's okay. It's okay. Ask questions. Ask so many questions. And also just stay busy, because that helps you get your shift done faster. Airman Boyd, what was your favorite part about phase 2? Leaving? Yeah. No, it wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty cool. My favorite part, honestly, that was cool.
The live patient model?
Yeah, no, that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, the SIF lab, that was...
I feel like that was like the most medical thing I've ever done in my life, so I just wasn't ready for it.
I agree. Airman Lowe, what was your favorite part about phase 2?
Going on the ambulance.
On the ambulance?
On the ambulance. I love the ambulance.
This boy was so excited to go. Airman Hall, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part is going home.
No. Today. No, phase 2 was good. What was your favorite part for real?
My favorite part was when this man came in and his head was busted open and we all did staples on his head.
Oh yeah, the staples. Airman Black, what was your favorite part?
I would definitely say working with the preceptors and just kind of picking their brains and just getting like a little piece of everything.
For sure. I'm trying to think. One of my favorite things was finding fetal heartbeats and OBGYN. That was really exciting for me, because that goes towards the career field that I actually want to go to, or like the unit within my career field. Also, IVs. I actually really enjoyed putting IVs in, drawing blood, giving shots. Like once you get good at it, like it's actually fun. So I did enjoy sticking people. Okay guys, get a picture. Picture. Thank you. Yeah, they always like, why are y'all sitting here in the dark?
That is crazy.
Actually,
That is crazy.
I like the dark.
Yeah, that did something.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Because it was a hospital. It was a little woman in there. Yeah, that shit look creepy.
Hawkins.
Oh, it's just a.
Oh, it's going.
I was like, yo, when are we taking the picture?
It's a video.
Oh, okay.
Just back.
Boy, I need you to stop.
I think I'm gonna end this here. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment any questions that you have. Let me know where you're going for phase 2 or where you're at with your whole process in general with joining. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, share this to somebody about to go to phase 2 or just interested in the 4-0 program in general. And ooh. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You guys have a great day. Bye.
Little albino
What?